Alright, so here I was, sitting down, getting ready to go bed after a long night of work, just like the working class does, and I just can't stop thinking about this fight, man. Now, of course, I'm referring to the fight happening this Saturday. Dricus du Plessis will fight Sean Strickland for that middleweight belt, and yes, I'm a newer MMA fan. I've been watching consistently for 3 years, and by consistently, I mean every single event, top to bottom. I don't skip prelims like a certain fat pig boy. MMA guru, just saying. Anyways, fucking only shows up for half of the early prelims, are ya? Fucking part-timer. Anyways, fucking millionaire. Anyways, yeah. This card is dog shit. It is absolutely horsecock. But the main event is sick. And I know from like a general consensus, it's like it's going to be a boring decision fight with Strickland. Oh, here comes the jab in the teeps and then the complaining that a headbutt happened. I know. But for me, man, I don't know. I love watching these guys fight. And I like both these fighters. I want to make it clear. I've already put out my prediction video. Go ahead and subscribe for weekly notifications about UFC cards and picks and predictions and breakdowns of each and every event. You know, feel free to hit that subscribe button, notification bell. Anyways, shameless plug over. Yeah, I'm really excited for Dricus du Plessis, Sean Strickland. I literally can't stop thinking about it. I've had dreams about this fight. Let me tell you, they're not good ones from my prediction, alright? You know, I'm definitely predicting Sean Strickland in the later rounds to pick up a TKO via volume striking after landing a blow to probably knock down Dricus du Plessis. It's not like Sean Strickland has pillow hands, I guess, you know. A lot of people like to say that about Sean Strickland, but I think one thing you'll notice in a lot of Sean Strickland's fights here, Sean Strickland, when he fought Paulo Costa was trying to make it boring by running away most of the time and trying to like easy point fight with him. What is Sean Strickland supposed to do when his opponents are just running away from him every time he lands a jab? Oh, he only jabs and teeps. Yeah, because 9 times out of 10, his opponents run away. And when they don't run away, hey, they get dropped like Izzy did in round 1. Hey, just saying, you know? Or they end up like Dricus du Plessis' face, and it's completely swelled up, black eye, fucking the whole 9, alright? But I do like both these guys. I like Strickland because he's a real personality, you know? He's a hard-working grinder, and he might not actually have talent, and he pretty much built everything off work ethic, you know? Of course, we see the Joe Rogan YouTube shorts of him yapping about how Sean Strickland has sparred the most out of any UFC fighter because, you know, they put the mouth guard thing. Yeah, you've seen the YouTube short. Everyone has, right? But Sean Strickland is still a good fighter. He's probably one of the most consistent outside of Kamaru Usman in welterweight before Kamaru Usman's a fucking champion fighting him. Other than that loss, he really only got spinning wheel kicked by somebody in welterweight. I can't remember the name. Let me just, like, look at this guy's career. This guy's been fighting for over 10 years in the UFC. That's a long fucking time. And you might think he's old. He's only 30. Like, he's turning 34. Shit, he's turning 34. Ooh. That's okay. But yeah, he's been in the UFC for a long fucking time. If we just look at his record here on not Tapology, I want SureDogs. You know, we see the loss to Jared Cannonier. My personal opinion, I think Strickland easily won that fight. I thought he was completely robbed. He did get knocked out to Pereira. Who the fuck doesn't? You know, it's Pereira. And then you see Alizy Zaleski dos Santos. That's who I'm thinking. Spinning wheel kick. Yeah, spinning wheel kick and punches. Yeah. Crazy KO. Welterweight. You know what I mean? And then Kamaru Usman. Welterweight. You know, Ponzinibbio could have been I really haven't watched that fight in a long time. But that's 10 years ago. No one cares. 10 years ago, you know, you're definitely not the same fighter, right? But basically, my point is that in middleweight, he kind of dominates these middleweights. And if he doesn't dominate the middleweights, he's losing to, like, bullshit, you know? Not necessarily the Alex Pereira one, but even Alex being able to make 185 is like a fucking... It needs to be a studied upon fucking phenomenon, you know? The fact that he was able to make 185 was absolutely insane. But yeah, Alex Pereira KO'd Sean Strickland. Again, he KOs pretty much anyone that fucking stands in front of him, except for Brad Tavares. Or not Brad Tavares. Was it Bruno Silva? I think it was Bruno Silva, not Brad Tavares. I think I'm thinking of Izzy's fight. But regardless, yeah, it's just Sean Strickland. I love him as a fighter, you know? I'm not American, right? I'm not this political fucking guy, right? So I'm not like liking him because he's just saying, you know, he doesn't like certain groups that might not be straight as a pencil, but, you know, I don't disagree with them either, you know what I mean? But no, he is like a consistent fighter, and I really like the fact that he gets KO'd by Pereira. Pereira, I think, is still in the division, and what does Strickland do? Even as he's getting older, right? Like, sure, he's not 35 like Israel Adesanya, fucking old-ass man. No, I'm joking, obviously. He's not 40 like a Jared Cannonier, right? He's still a younger fighter, and we've seen Max Holloway be a little bit more technical, a little better. At 32, I think he's at, maybe 33 at this point. But my point is, even as Sean Strickland's getting older, and he's had 10 years in the game at this point, he's still willing to lose to an opponent and be like, yeah, I got knocked out by that guy. You know, I got knocked out fucking clean. You know, he put me down, I got a paper chin that fight, it is what it is. And he'll go train with him, you know? And I think that speaks levels of volumes in terms of, I think a lot of people think Sean Strickland's not trying to improve and Sean Strickland is just going to jab and teep with you. But Sean Strickland is like a grandmaster chess player who will sit and just... He's the Tyler 1 of UFC. That's the way I put it. He's the Tyler 1 of UFC. Or of MMA. He will train MMA day and night. You know, just be running games like it's his job. You know, or matches like it's his job. Right? And he's just fucking, he's ripping it, you know? I think, I'd bet money if you went through the entire history of League of Legends to see who had the most games played. I think Tyler 1's probably top 10. I put Sean Strickland top 10 probably MMA matches ever in terms of sparring, in terms of whatever, right? In the history of fucking mankind at this point. This guy definitely trains a lot. Every time you see him in workout videos, it's sparring. Every time you see, you know, footage of him with other fighters, it's him sparring with those other fighters or sparring fucking Sneeko, you know what I mean? But I do like Strickland as like a fighter in terms of he will lose, and if he loses, he admits he loses or loses clearly, and then he'll train with the fighter who clearly beat him, you know? That's very good to see as a mindset, you know? That means he wants to at least improve, or he kind of wants to, you know, maybe get an unlucky strike here and there, try to get revenge, you know? No, but I do really like Strickland as a fighter. I think it's a sick idea of, like, fighter loses to X-fighter becomes champion, and the fighter who lost is like, yo, let me go down to his place, and let me go train with this guy, let me go spar with this guy, you know? Jamal Hill had his fucking chance, alright? He threw the gloves down, you know, fucking wanting to fight with Pereira in the gym, right? Sean Strickland would literally walk up and be like, yo, let's spar, you know? Let's do the fucking man dance, you know? As Sean Strickland does. But I do think that Strickland... Bro, his nipples are so weird. Is that just me? I don't know. Weird thing. Anyways, I do think Strickland is a really good fighter, and I think he does genuinely want to improve. I don't think he just spars to spar. Maybe he does. Maybe that's why Tyler 1 just fucking rips games, you know? It's a crack addiction, you know, in terms of just ripping matches. But I do think Sean Strickland is... Like, he wants to improve, even though he's only 33. And I think he realized that, like, bro, having the belt was fucking nice. I had money, I had opportunity, you know, and now that he's lost the belt, he's kind of like, man, that was a bullshit decision. I needed to get in there and fucking whoop his ass, you know? And in a lot of the, what do they call it? Fight vlog, what do those UFC fucking call it? Something vlog, right? It's like, UFC embedded. Yeah, when they do the embedded episodes, you see Sean Strickland. Bro, this guy's got the fucking, I don't know how you call it. He's got like the biker fucking mustache going, the fucking U on his fucking upper lip, you know? And I think he's going to take this fight a lot more seriously. I trust that he's going to take this fight a lot more seriously, hence why I'm picking him to win. Because I do think a serious Strickland who genuinely wants to win is a much more dangerous than a Sean Strickland like, yeah, I beat this guy, no problem, you know? And I think a great example of that is that when he did fight Israel Adesanya, that was in 2020. Oh no, that was the end of 2023. Oh, it was right. He was like fighter of the year or something. I can't remember. Or nominated, I think. But regardless, when he fought Israel Adesanya, people forget, man. That was short notice, you know? Now, it wasn't like a week's notice or whatever. It wasn't like a day notice like the true lightweight GOAT, Renato Moicano. It was I think it was 8 weeks, which normally, or no, I think it was like 6 weeks. Might have been 6 to 8 weeks, somewhere in that range, which normally fighters get 3 months, which, if you don't know, mathematically, I think is roughly 12 weeks, 11 weeks-ish, you know, depending how the weeks go in the months, depending on the months, I guess. But, yeah, it's 11 to 12 weeks is the normal notice for fighters. Sean Strickland shows up, short notice, biggest underdog, and he goes in there, and he's been on, you know, the Joe Rogan podcast, JRE, you know, as some people call it, but, which is, you know, man, maybe I should do a video on Joe Rogan aging. Holy shit, it's just getting worse when I see him. Anyways, that's a whole another topic, but, yeah, Sean Strickland was even saying, like, oh, if Israel Adesanya was, like, built like a normal human, he'd beat him, and shit like that, right? So I don't think Sean Strickland genuinely thought he was going to whoop Israel Adesanya's ass for 5 rounds. I think he thought it was going to be close, and he needs to be wary, he needs to be careful of the power. Now that Strickland's fought Dricus du Plessis, I know it's like he thinks he won the fight. I think he won the fight, to be honest with you. And I think a lot of people... Here's the problem now with fucking narratives, alright? When there's a close decision, and it's very close, let's say Volkov, Cyril Gane, right? Where it's a 29-28 split decision, somehow they give it to the other fighter, and it's like, what the fuck, you know? When it's a Paddy Pimblett, Jared Gordon, where it's just inexcusable, shit like that, or where it's fucking Sandhagen, Cheeto Vera, where the one judge is giving it to Cheeto Vera, dumb shit like that, where the narrative is just like, for 24 hours, this is bullshit, you know, this should be overturned, this person won, you know, and if it's a championship fight, it should be you beat the champ, to beat the champ, you know? Or you have to beat the champ to be the champ, sort of narrative that spawns for 24 hours. You know, especially with, like, the Dominic Reyes, John Jones, another great example of just a clear 3-2, and then it's like, all of a sudden people start forgetting that it was a clear 3-2. You could argue the other way, but it should have been given to this fighter. You know what I mean? And especially with the UFC commentary, and I get it, they're paid, you know, paid actors, I get it, you know? If I was getting I'd probably guess, I'm no genius, but they gotta be at least making 6 figures, right? For UFC commentary, at least 6 figures, you know? And I get it, right? They're paid, they have to promote a narrative that makes sense for, like, what's going on, right? Because Dominic Reyes isn't gonna get that fight overturned. There'd be a lot of, like, okay, now the belt has to transfer over, how does that relate to, like, his career? Because he gets KO'd right after that, and, you know, a lot of bad shit happened to Dominic Reyes, unfortunately. But my point is, when this fight happened, literally all anyone could talk about was Sean Strickland was robbed. Unless you were like a MMA guru, fucking, you know, doing tricks on his shit, you know? You were saying Sean Strickland won the fight. And you could say, maybe Dricus. I was even saying, you could maybe give it to Dricus. It was a really close fight, 50-50 fight, you know. But the majority, at least from what I saw, was Sean Strickland won the fight and was robbed. After a week or two, it then becomes, oh, Dricus du Plessis is the champion. Let's see how he fights against Israel Adesanya. Let's see how he fights against Khamzat Chimaev on the come up. Robert Whittaker rematch. You know, stuff like that. Paulo Costa if he beats Robert Whittaker. Stuff like that, right? But it's like, what happened to Sean Strickland? Like, he should have been the champ defending against Paulo Costa, technically speaking, you know? And he should have been given an immediate rematch, and everyone pretty much unanimously agreed. You know, Strickland, give him an immediate rematch, even if you are Daniel Cormier, John Anik, fucking cuckboy for the UFC, believing whatever this decision is to be fucking gospel, right? You still would say immediate rematch for Sean Strickland. It was a close as fuck fight. They didn't give him an immediate rematch. He then fights an opponent, which he shouldn't have to. And then once he beats that opponent, it's like, it wasn't that impressive. Don't give him the immediate rematch. This isn't fucking Ankalaev, or as some, you know, YouTubers have been saying, Bum Kalaev, you know? This is, like, Sean Strickland is still entertaining to watch, because he's at least in the fight, you know? He's not losing the fight because his opponents are autistic, right? Ankalaev only beat Rakic because Rakic turned off his brain cells and decided not to throw leg kicks, you know? What's that fucking, he's an up-and-comer, he's like 34 years old, just got ranked, fought Jonathan Martinez, fuck, now I'm forgetting his name, let me just, UFC rankings, what's his name, Marcus McGee fought Jonathan Martinez. Jonathan Martinez lost that fight because he turned off his brain cells and didn't leg kick. Those are what they, like, Rakic and Jonathan Martinez are the leg kickers. That's what they do. And they decided not to leg kick. So they lost their fights, right? They turned off their brain. That's what happens. Sean Strickland in every single fight is at least against an opponent who can't beat Sean Strickland. You know what I mean? Like, when we look at his fights against Paulo Costa is literally running from the man the whole time. Dricus du Plessis is running into Sean Strickland the whole time, getting his face fucked up, getting jabbed and teeped and outstruck in 4 of the 5 rounds. Little interesting stat, you know, just saying. But, you know, when he fight Nasruddin Imavov, which in hindsight looks like a great fucking win now. Like, his wins are aging really well, you know? And I'm not trying to say he's one of the best middleweights of all time, guys, but there might be a decent argument at the end of this. If Sean Strickland can beat DDP, it's great. And this is one of the reasons why I love this fight so much. The stakes are great. You know, normally when you have championship level fights, there has to be high stakes for the card to really be worth it. Especially because this Australian card's so dog shit. This fight is... There's some pretty decent stakes here. If Sean Strickland can go in and beat DDP and a clear 4-1 or TKO via a late finish. Also, if Sean Strickland is taking this fight much more seriously, which it sounds like he is, you know, I think he might start taking his career a little bit more seriously here. He might start implementing a lot of the wrestling game, you know, which... He's a good wrestler, at least we hear that, you know, we hear that he does really great wrestling. He's got great takedown defense so far. There's no reason to really think he doesn't have great takedowns. He's taken down a few opponents. Recently, he took down Jared Cannonier in their fight. He took down Nasruddin Imavov. That's another one. So, it's not like he won't wrestle ever. It's just like he will choose not to wrestle against strikers. But I think now that he realizes, like, I can become something, you know, at middleweight. Because if he beats Dricus du Plessis, he'll have Dricus du Plessis in the rematch. Maybe a trilogy. He beats him there. Whatever, right? Let's just say he mops the floor with Dricus du Plessis, right? Beats Dricus, former middleweight champion. Has beaten Nasruddin Imavov. And if they do a rematch, that'll be twice, which Nasruddin is now KO'd Israel Adesanya, which no one's done except for Pereira. And then he will have Brendan Allen, which is a pretty good win. You know what I mean? Brendan Allen's not like a terrible win to have on your resume. You know? Israel Adesanya, which The dumbest takes I'm hearing from fucking MMA fighters right now is Israel Adesanya is one of the best combat sport athletes to walk the planet. Whatever drugs you're smoking, I think you might need to send it to Mike Perry, because he might need some of that for his fucking pain relief after getting KO'd by Jake Paul. But it's like, Israel Adesanya, if he's rated that highly, Strickland whooped his ass for 5 rounds. That was a pretty good argument that, you know, and he didn't even need to grapple. Good argument that Sean Strickland's a better fighter than Israel Adesanya in terms of a pound-for-pound list. You know, we just need to build up Sean Strickland's legacy. I do think Sean Strickland genuinely has the skills to be on a pound-for-pound list here. He is actually on the pound-for-pound list. But when I'm speaking pound-for-pound list, I mean middleweight pound-for-pound list of all time. Especially with the current level comp, like, I don't think Nasruddin and I don't think Imavov is this crazy fucking berserker who's like fucking better than everyone in the division after KOing Israel Adesanya, nor do I think Whitaker is really that anymore. But I think Imavov is kind of like a upgraded version of Whitaker. I don't really see it yet, but I think that's kind of where his career is ending up. Now it's hard to tell, obviously. We'll have to wait for his career to finish. But, like, Imavov is a better win now than Anderson Silva back in the day. Because Imavov would whoop Anderson Silva's ass. Just straight up. You know? Marvin Vettori, shit, whatever. Friends with Sean Strickland, probably wouldn't fight. Probably has already fought in sparring. Probably whooped his ass, to be honest with you. Jared Cannonier, depending on where Jared Cannonier, like, if Jared Cannonier goes on a massive losing streak, it is what it is. But if Jared Cannonier gets some wins, maybe they do a rematch because of the whole title thing, after Dricus loses a few times. Yeah, you know? But my point is just, Sean Strickland can really start building a legacy if he wins, right? I don't think anyone disagrees with that. On the flip side, though, and this is to play devil's advocate, obviously I'm rooting for Sean Strickland, I don't mind DDP. I like DDP. I like his mindset when he's going into fights. I like his, like, kill or be killed attitude, where, you know, he lives on the sword and he dies by the sword. I love that aspect of him. I love that he creates his own style, even though it does look like he's a gassed out old man. He is still striking at a decently high level, at least when he's fighting people like if you knock out Whitaker, you have to have some modicum of power, whether it's through PED usage or not, right? But Dricus du Plessis, while I do think he's natural, you know, Africans I think are just built different, you know, even if they're albino, you know what I mean? But I do think Dricus du Plessis, if he beats Sean Strickland's if he can finish Sean Strickland, and I mean specifically finish, a decision win is great. Sean Strickland could probably get a trilogy at some point if Sean Strickland goes out there, beats a Robert Whitaker, beats a Khamzat Chimaev, because he would take the fights. It's not like Sean Strickland's not taking any of these fights. I do think Sean Strickland is a really good win if he clearly beats Sean Strickland, like a clear 3-2, you know, 4-1. You know, that's what I want to see. I don't want to see you like, well, Sean Strickland did outland you in 4 rounds, you know? And if it's by 1 strike, that's fine. But if it's by, like, 5 significant strikes each round, it's like, eesh, you know? Eesh. And that's kind of what the first fight was. It wasn't, I think some rounds were 3 strikes. Some were, it's a little foggy in memory. But regardless, he needs to, like, I get the narrative is that he was pushing the pace for 23 minutes. And Sean Strickland was on his back foot for 2. He still outlanded you on the back foot. I'm just saying, and with impaired vision for rounds 4 and 5, the rounds that Sean Strickland is normally known to, like, really heat up for, kind of like, I know it's like if Sean Strickland doesn't get cut, right? But it is just like Sean Strickland is really fucking good, especially known to be that 4th and 5th round guy, right? So if Dricus du Plessis goes out there and he whoops his ass, right? Again, if you're, you know, a guru fucking doing tricks on his fucking shit. Anyways, yeah, if Dricus du Plessis beats Sean Strickland clearly, I genuinely don't even mind Dricus du Plessis' chances against a Khamzat Chimaev. Genuinely. I'm not even like a DDP Dick Rider or a fucking MMA Guru Stan or whatever, right? It's just DDP is really fucking good, and he throws 100% all the time, you know? You watch him in the Demetrius Johnson interview, you'll see that he easily, not easily, sorry, he just straight up does 100% effort all the time, because he doesn't see the point in wasting any energy, like, after the fight. So it's going to be 25 minutes of 100% DDP, you know, and he's in there to kill that man. Nothing against the man, he's in there to kill him, and you can see it in his fight, you know? Definitely has that aggression, he definitely goes in, he definitely is a blitzer. DDP is pretty much like the improved Whitaker in terms of he's got clean takedowns, he mixes up his striking, he's throwing head kicks when he's like 1 foot in front of his opponents, you know what I mean? Like, he's dynamic, he's throwing off beat, he's got the power, you know? He is, by every stretch of the imagination, a upgraded Whitaker, except for when you visually watch him and he looks like he's a gassed out old man. It is what it is, you know? But it works for DDP, right? So he's a modern day MMA fighter. If he beats Strickland and then he beats Khamzat Chimaev, we're talking like, this guy beat Izzy near his prime, Khamzat Chimaev, and Sean Strickland. Those would be, like, those 3 names are probably the best names in the last, what? And Robert Whitaker. Those gotta be the 4 best names in middleweight for the past, I want to say 10 years, you know? I get Anderson Silva's legacy, you know? I get the people who fought Anderson Silva, but it's different now, you know? I know I'm a newer fan, so I'll never be able to be like, yeah, man, I remember when Anderson Silva, you know, he was getting those TKOs and his opponents weren't even fighting back. Those were the good old days, you know? I get it, right? But it is like Chael Sonnen whooped his ass for 4.5 rounds until Chael Sonnen eventually choked, literally choked at the very end, you know? And it is what it is, you know? But it's like, in the last, like, decade, right? Aside from the people before Adesanya, it was who? Whitaker? And then before Whitaker, I don't think it was Yoel Romero. Let me just check the UFC middleweight champs. Am I gonna be able to fight it like this? This is, oh, is this gonna tell me? Chris Weidman. Yeah, it was like the Weidman, right? Like, come on, guys. Sean Strickland's a better win than fucking Chris Weidman. Right? Anderson Silva, you know, these guys, you know what I mean? But I'm saying all this to basically say, I love this fight. I love this title fight. I love when 2 guys go to war. And I think it's going to be a bloody match, and I do genuinely think one of them gets finished. Now, did mention my nightmare. My nightmare was, I kind of clearly saw a DDP winning by 3 clear rounds, you know, and getting his hand raised. But let's hope my dreams don't become a reality. You know, I bet that's the first time anyone said that. And I'm still picking Sean Strickland to win by either 4th or 5th round TKO via volume strikes, similar to when he knocked down Izzy in the first fight. Also, another thing I just want to mention, the aura around Dricus du Plessis is major. I'm not going to ignore it, right? I do know it's like if Sean Strickland does get knocked out, it's going to look pretty embarrassing, being like, yeah, I beat that guy. If that cut doesn't happen, gets slept. You know, Alex Pereira's in his corner, and now it's like, that's minus like 10 aura for Alex Pereira. Bro, the bro's got like fucking a million aura, so he's chilling, but it's like, you know, that's going to take away for the Ankalaev, you know, fight that Alex Pereira is going to have to happen, or going to have to fight eventually. But I do think that I like this fight because there's stakes, there's legacy on the line here, and like real things can happen, you know? This is kind of like, I don't know. I don't really know. trying to think here, you know, this is almost like an Islam versus Charles Oliveira for me. I'll say that, you know, I like both these fighters. I guess maybe a lot of people didn't really like Islam at the time, you know, and the cliff's been exposed, so what are they gonna do, you know? But, no, I do really like both these fighters. I want both these fighters to succeed, you know? I want Dricus du Plessis to have a great career. I want Sean Strickland to have a great career. But only one of them can be champ, you know what I mean? So we're about to find out, basically, who is the new Whitaker and who is the new Adesanya in terms of middleweight division here, right? Because if Sean Strickland does win, Sean Strickland might be able to reign as middleweight champ for a while, you know? Middleweights are kind of dog shit right now. And they've been dog shit for a while, and right now they're getting better, but they're not much better, right? Like, just out of these names, right? Like, Amavov, he's already beat. Khamzat Chimaev, he's sparred with. I think he'll know. I kind of think Strickland has a really good chance against Khamzat Chimaev, because I think Strickland will, like, know what Chimaev will try to do, and the submissions he'll try to go for, and all that jazz. And I think Strickland's gonna know, kind of, what he goes for, and how he trains, sort of thing, and, like, oh, this guy's shit after the first round, you know? And, you know, people forget, man, Wobblestone, Cobblestone, fucking Kamaru Usman knees was able to survive round 1. I think Strickland can survive round 1 as long as Khamzat Chimaev's not coming out of a fucking Vita chamber, a Vita chamber, fucking full HP'd up, you know, like it's Bioshock 2, you know? But, yeah, I do think Strickland probably mops the rest of these guys. Like, I know people are like, oh, Robert Whitaker versus Strickland. No offense, but, like, Robert Whitaker's kind of washed. I know he knocked out Ikram Aliskerov, but I think that speaks volumes of, like, how dog shit middleweight is. You know? That we're giving Aliskerov, like, a jump up. You know? Robert Whitaker doesn't really have a great shin. Paulo Costa's wobbling him. And Paulo Costa's prime old age at this point. You know, Paulo, I know he's not old, right? I'm just saying it to add more effects so my boy Strickland can look better. But, Paulo Costa, Strickland already beat. Roman Dolidze, I don't think stands a fucking chance against Sean Strickland. He's beat Brendan Allen. He's friends with Marvin Vettori, and Marvin Vettori's dog shit. Jared Cannonier, I thought he won the first fight. I think he would whoop an old like an even older Jared Cannonier's ass. Kyle Brahalio's kind of like, you know, the eyebrows raised there, but, I do think, like, Strickland kind of mops the whole division, you know? Like, Kopylov is kind of like a cool name now, but it's like, eh? You know, Michel Pereira whoops his ass after the first minute. Bo Nickel, we just saw fucking Paul Craig outstrike Bo Nickel. You don't think Strickland's gonna outstrike him? Come on now, son. Anyways, I've been ranting for a little while. I wanted to get it off my chest. I love this fight, man. I love the fight game, bro. I can't stop thinking about this shit. I inject this shit into my veins. But, yeah. I love this fight. I love the UFC. I'm a huge UFC fan. I can't wait to see the result. I want Strickland to win. I'm still predicting him to get a late TKO finish. I can see Dricus du Plessis getting a finish. I don't think Dricus du Plessis will actually win a decision, even though my nightmares have foretold the future. So, if he does get the win by a 3-2 decision, a clear one where he doesn't have damage distinctly in my memory of that nightmare, then maybe I gotta start listening to my fucking psychic visions. But I don't think the third eye is opened, therefore I'm not trusting that nightmare. I do still think Sean Strickland has what it takes to get a TKO, especially Alex Pereira in the corner. Come on, that's gotta be at least plus 10 power. Come on, guys. That's gotta be at least a plus 10 power, you know? That's gotta be at least one bulk up as a Pokemon, right? Alex Pereira as your trainer? Come on now. Come on. But yeah. I love this fight. I love the fight game. The card's dog shit, but that one fight is very special. And I just want to see a war. You know, I want to see two men into the cage and one of them leave bloodied and upset. That's what I want to see. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. Made it all the way to the end of this video. A little bit of a rant, but I want to thank you for watching. And as always, you have... Sorry, one sec. I hope you have a good day.